We got a really good look at OU officially moving to the SEC. But what about the view from Austin? Texas is moving to the SEC too. So how are the Longhorns feeling? No one better to talk about all things Texas than Cedric Golden, sports columnist at the Austin American-Statesman, now on the Jenny Carlson Show. But before we get to that, I want to encourage you to subscribe. First, to my YouTube channel, at Jenny-Carlson. Just hit that subscribe button. It's easy, it's free, but it helps me a bunch. And then I hope you'll subscribe to my Substack. You can subscribe for free, or if you want to support my work with a paid subscription, those start at $8 a month. I hope you consider subscribing, no matter what level, at jennycarlson.substack.com. Cedric, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. What's up, Jen?
Well, now we're in SEC country. You were before with A&M right down the road, but does it feel any different down there in Austin?
Yeah, I'm kind of mad because the Big 12 people moved media days to Vegas, and you know how much I like Vegas. They waited to get rid of us, Jen, and now we're back in Dallas. How'd that happen?
Well, I hate to tell you this will make you sad, but I still have a Big 12 team to cover, so I am headed to Vegas, my friend.
Yeah, me too, but I'm paying for mine.
Fair enough. Well, hey, we know the view from here in Oklahoma. OU had a big SEC celebration Monday. Texas did its shindig on Sunday. Kind of give us the view from the ground there in Austin. What stands out to you about what you saw, what you heard as Texas ushered in the SEC era?
Yeah, it was really it was a surreal event. There were like 30,000 people there, and the SEC network was all over the place. We got to talk to Paul Feinbaum, and Roman Harper was there, Laura Rutledge, all of Marty Smith with the hair. He was there. And so it was really cool. It was really hot outside. You know, it was really, really sweltering. And I just got the sense that these fans are really excited about it. The one thing that they got to know, though, man, it's a rough one. When you're talking about football, it's going to be a rough slate. Texas and OU are plenty good enough to compete in that conference. They've both beaten SEC teams, so it's not like that they're going to go in there cowering. But that is a minefield of a conference. I mean, you're talking Florida and Georgia and Alabama and LSU, and then you got the Aggies, who you know hate Texas, Arkansas. So it's going to be fun watching them take on this new venture. I don't know how brave it is because they're getting a boatload of money to leave, and that's why they left, Jen. That's why they left.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to watch that all take place.
How are the Longhorn faithful feeling? Because like you say, I mean, this is a lot about football. We'll talk more football here in a second. But, is there generally excitement? Is there a little trepidation? Like, what's just the general feeling amongst fans there around the programs?
They're excited. And the programs, Texas is good in everything. I mean, they won the Directors' Cup 3 out of 4 years. So they're winning national championships and other sports. It kind of reminds me of when I got on the football beat in 2002, and baseball beat. My first season was 2003. They were proficient, winning in everything. They won 2 national championships in 4 years or 5 years in baseball. They won a national championship in football, and 2 teams went to the Final Four in basketball in 2003. So they were rolling, and Mac Brown in football was 56-8. Over like a 4-year period. So they were rolling. This is different. They're finding their footing in football. They're okay in basketball. They've got coaches that have led them to Elite Eights. But football isn't the juggernaut just yet. But they have taken a huge step forward with the CFP semifinal finish. And after that 5-7, Steve Sarkisian is 20-6 over the last 2 years.
Yeah. Well, and you wrote at statesman.com, people can go find your stuff there, about football being what this move was about. And I think people around here feel the same way in terms of the Sooners. But, you mentioned sort of the improvement over the last couple of years with UT football. So how do they enter this SEC gauntlet. I mean, like you say, it's Georgia, it's Bama, it's LSU. Is there sort of a, hey, we're walking right in with the rest of these guys, or is there sort of a silent scream on the inside of like, what is about to happen here? What's your sense of just how football is reacting to this move?
If they had entered in 2021 when they went 5-7, there would have been Vanderbilt vibes, but they've had some success since then. So plenty of confidence, I think. Top 5 recruiting classes. They're still getting the guys they want. Texas has that big money that they can throw at recruits and transfers, and they have a coach who's very confident, who used to walk those SEC streets, Jen. So he's not going in there not wondering what's going to happen. He knows what's that's gonna entail being in that league. So I think there's a healthy amount of confidence. There's a lot of enthusiasm about this venture, and I believe Texas will be fine. The over under on them win total in Vegas is 10.5. I don't know about all that. 10.5. And you got to go to Michigan, and then you got to play. You got to go to Arkansas. You got to go to College Station, and Kirby Smart and company coming in here. So I don't know about that 10 win thing regular season, but number 3 in preseason AP. So hopes are high, projections are high. I see zero fear. Sarkisian said, respect all, fear none, and I think that's the tack they're taking. I'll just be really interested to see what happens around midseason when they go Oklahoma, Georgia back to back, with Georgia coming off a bye week before they come in here.
Woo, man, yeah. There are some big moments on every SEC football schedule, but that is quite a 2-game stretch for the Longhorns. You mentioned earlier just how improved the Horns have been with Steve Sarkisian these last 2 years. When he was really trying to get this program back on a more solid footing, did you sense that his eye was always on competing in the SEC, or was it just a broader view of this program has got to improve? Like, how did the SEC future play into what he was trying to accomplish with the Horns?
Well, he learned under 2 of the greatest of all time, in Pete Carroll and Nick Saban, and his time in Alabama taught him that you need what he likes to call large human beings to compete in that conference. And I remember when they played at Arkansas, I think it was his first year, and they went up to Fayetteville and they got worked. And I just remember, I didn't go on that trip, but I watched the game on TV, and after one play, they were on offense, and the cameras flashed to Sarkisian, and you could read his lip. He just goes, "My God, we're horrible. We are horrible." And I saw it, and I was like, wow. And then he told us, well, we got to get some more large human beings. And over the last 2 or 3 years, that's what he's brought in: large human beings and good athletes. Kelvin Banks could be the best left tackle in all of the SEC this season. If you're the best left tackle in the SEC, you might be the best left tackle in America. That's just how that is.
Yep.
And so 3 out of 5 starters are back on that offensive line. They're sturdy. They're big men, 6'6", 350. Those are some big men. And they have what you got to have in the SEC. You got to be able to run it. And what's changed since Texas played Alabama and lost in the 2009 championship game is it's more of an offensive conference now. It's more of a quarterback-led conference. Texas lost to Mark Ingram and Trent Richardson that night. They didn't lose to Greg McElroy, who happened to be the quarterback. They lost to those running backs. Julio Jones was on that team, Jen. He caught 3 passes for 17 yards. So it wasn't about Julio, it wasn't about Greg. It was about those running backs and then offensive line and Marcel Darius and company up front. So that formula is tried and true, and that formula transcends generations, but it's still more of a quarterback-driven league now. And the teams with the best quarterbacks are going to end up playing for all the marbles. Just look at the CFP. There were 4 really good quarterbacks in those games.
So how do the Longhorns feel about their quarterback? Do they feel like they're in position with the guy they've got?
Which one, Jen? Which one are we talking about?
That's why I didn't name him. I figured you might be able to shed some light on that.
Why are you trying to get me in trouble, Jen? Why are you trying to get me in trouble? I'm going with Quinn. That's the one that's the starter, Jennifer. And Quinn Ewers had a good offseason. He had a good spring. I saw him at Pro Timing Day, dropping dimes in front of NFL scouts, making all the throws with zip, looking good, looking confident, no pass rush, mind you, but looking good throwing against air. And, I'll take looking good throwing against air than looking bad throwing against air.
Absolutely.
So I think that if I'm Steve Sarkisian, who knows that the best of the best teams always have a couple of quarterbacks, a good backup option, he's feeling great because if Quinn gets hurt, and Quinn has been hurt in each season that he's been here, he's been hurt. If Quinn gets hurt, he knows that Arch Manning is at the ready. And Arch Manning is 6'4", 225 pounds. He looks just like Uncle Peyton. He's a big dude with a big arm. But unlike Uncle Peyton, Arch Manning can run. He can move. So he's fleet of foot for a guy that size. So he's a playmaker. So it's going to be interesting if Quinn can stay healthy. And even if he does stay healthy, if he struggles, it'll be interesting to see how short that leash is, if Sark's going to get the kid in there. And if they blow out Colorado State or if they blow out Rice, I'm sure that you're going to get some Arch Manning because he's got to get Arch Manning some reps just in case.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of interesting intrigue there. Sorry to put you on the spot. That was not my intention, my friend.
You're not the first to put me on the spot and not the last. I live on the spot.
Well, regardless of the quarterback question that is probably out there for some Longhorns to ponder, still, this team, like you said, entering in really as good a place as they've been in years to go into the SEC. Looking at the schedule, looking at the personnel, I mean, could they win this thing in their first year in the SEC? I mean, I know that requires projecting maybe who's there in the SEC title game, but
Georgia.
Can they win this entire conference in year one?
They have the talent. They have the know-how. They have the coach. They have the depth. But you got to remember, they just lost 11 guys to the NFL, and that's not counting the free agents.
Yeah.
They just lost Xavier Worthy, who's the new Tyreek Hill in Kansas City.
Yeah.
They just lost A.D. Mitchell. They lost some talent. They lost Jatavian Sanders, who behind Brock Bowers is probably the second best tight end in the country. They've lost a lot. Jalen Ford, the former Big 12 Player of the Year on defense, the linebacker. And they haven't shown that they have a pass rush that's going to bother SEC quarterbacks. It's been since 2013 that Texas had a double-digit sack man. It's been a minute. So they're going to have to plug some holes. Some guys going to have to grow up fast. Quinn Ewers, who threw, I think, 21 touchdowns and only 6 picks last year, is going to have to stay healthy, and he's going to have to be closer to 30 touchdowns this season. So if all of that happens and they figure out how to beat Georgia here and they don't stub their toe in College Station in front of 110,000 people who hate them, maybe, just maybe, am I ready on July 2nd, 2024, sitting here doing my black job to go out there and say the Longhorns going to win SEC? No, I'm not ready to say that, Jen. It's the SEC.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that yet. Give me a couple of months to marinate on that.
That's fair. Hey, you mentioned that game at A&M. Everybody knows renewal of a heated rivalry. I'm curious what your sense is of how the Horns and the Aggies getting back together impacts the Red River Rivalry, which has been brewing and stewing over all of these years as A&M and Texas went their separate ways. Does it impact what happens between the Longhorns and Sooners at all that the Horns and the Aggies are now back together?
Not at all. Because the Red River Rivalry, Jennifer, is quite simply the best football game in America every year. I defy defy you to dispute that. It is it is the coolest, craziest atmosphere in college football. It is played at a fairground, in a dump of a stadium, and not the best part of Dallas.
It's true.
No lies detected here, because I've lived this, Jennifer. And
yes.
I absolutely love that game. It is the coolest. We get to see each other. You know, I get to see my Oklahoma buddies every year. And we always run into each other at Papacitos. We just do.
Tell all our secrets, Cedric.
I'm sorry. I don't tell them when we go, but we run into each other at Papacitos, and we do our thing, and then we cover the game. We eat that bad barbecue before the game. That's not good barbecue. I'm sorry. I live in Austin. That's not good barbecue. And we love every second of it, Jen. And the coolest part for people who haven't been is if you show up, that game, is it at 11 again, Jen? I think it is.
No.
Maybe it's 2:30.
2:30, yeah.
2:30. So if you show up at the fairgrounds near the Cotton Bowl at, let's just say, 7 o'clock, and you don't know who won the game, just walk through the fairgrounds. You will know within 15 minutes who won that game. Yep. Because the people in is it Scarlet, Red? I don't know what it's called. The people in Crimson the winning team is laughing. The losing team has their head down and they're guzzling beers, or they're headed to the exits.
Right.
The team that loses, more of those people are going to leave right after the game. They're not in the festive mood. But the team that wins, oh my God, they're still there eating corny dogs, Floyd's catfish. That's the good stuff. And so I'm going to tell you, though, this A&M Texas game is going to be the most watched game of the season.
It's going to be crazy.
No question. Yeah. It's going to pass the Iron Bowl. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be bigger than USC, UCLA, bigger than Ole Miss, Mississippi State. It's going to be the biggest, most watched game. It's on Thanksgiving weekend, which is even better because there are fewer games being played on that Saturday. And the Aggies are lying in wait. They are lying in wait. And I'm going to tell you, Jen. So I was at the SEC thing celebration. Yeah. And Bevo was there. All 2,000 pounds of Bevo was there, and he had his handlers, and you know the low man on the totem pole is on pooper scooper duty.
Yeah. Right.
And they scooped up Bevo's whatever you call it, his stuff. Yeah. And they put it in this little pail. A little maroon pail with an A&M logo on it. You can't make that kind of stuff up, Jen. You can't make it up. That is pure hatred. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah. So just add the rivalry to the Red River Rivalry. It's just going to be more fun for folks that love the Longhorns.
Yeah, and you know what? The Texas OU game is at the perfect time of the year. That second weekend in October. Yeah. That's what we want. That's when it's just starting to get good. And by the time Texas and A&M play, odds are one of those teams not going to be very happy.
Right.
Because they both play in the SEC, and not everybody can be good in the SEC. Yeah. Someone's going to be having a better year than someone else.
Yeah. Someone's going to play spoiler.
Someone wants to play spoiler. And since the CFP is 12 teams, and the SEC is running the CFP, the SEC, the Big Ten, and the Miles are all running the CFP, there's going to be quite a few SEC teams in that mix. And I could hazard a guess. I don't think that Texas and A&M are both going to make it. Somebody's got to go. But I think by then we'll know that which one of the teams has a chance to finish in the top 12 and which doesn't. Either way, there's going to be something on the line.
Well, this playoff expansion is going to be fascinating to watch how it impacts everything. Before we let you get out of here, though, I got to ask you, other sports, you mentioned this earlier, how Texas really does have greatness across the board, championships in other sports. Volleyball won one this year. I mean, on down the list.
Volleyball won last year too, Jen. They repeated.
Yeah, I mean, just so many good sports. How is the move to the SEC being embraced? I don't know. Well, what's sort of the verb for these other sports and how they're viewing this move?
They're confident because they're already winning national championships. I don't know about baseball. That's the sexiest one because
we didn't talk about
because
did we?
Yeah, we didn't talk about Shalas and how Chris Del Conte, who I described as an absolute savage, to go in there and pickpocket Texas A&M's coach. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
And Schloss was asked about that on Sunday, and he said, I knew that it would be nuclear, but I didn't think it would be apocalyptic. And for me, I'm like, man, they put his cell phone number online, Jen. I tried to call him.
Whoa.
He changed it. No, I didn't try to call him. I wouldn't do that. They put his Cash App and Venmo on the line. People are asking him for money.
Whoa.
I mean, it's harassment.
Oof.
And so it's gonna be the hot game, the hot rivalry. Baseball's gonna be more watched than ever before next spring.
Yeah.
But you look at volleyball, they're not afraid of anybody in the SEC. You look at tennis, the women have won 2 championships the last 5 years. Rowing, I didn't even know they had rowing until Texas won 3 out of 4 national championships. And the SEC just adopted rowing. Tennessee's got a rowing team. Alabama's got a rowing team. So track, they won national championship in track.
Yep.
So
Softball's obviously excellent.
Yeah, finals in softball against the Roaring Sooners, the Fighting Gassos. And then you got what's the other one? Track, soft. We got God, what's the other one, Jed? I'm missing one. Track, softball, tennis, golf, rowing, volleyball. I think that covers it.
Yeah.
I think that covers it. I think that covers all of them. So, and then you got, and then one that we haven't talked about, Vic Schaefer returns to the SEC. Women's basketball.
Yeah.
He led Mississippi State to a couple of national championship games.
Absolutely.
And now he's going to be matching wits with the lovely Kim Mulkey, who Barry Tremmel once called Cruella de Vil, and Don Staley, the best coach in the country. So the SEC is open for business. I'm here for the SEC. We're going to enjoy our stay in the SEC, and I'm very jealous that you're going to Vegas on somebody else's dime, Jen. Very jealous about that.
Okay, last question before we have people, you tell people where they can find all your stuff. We know that the money is bigger in the SEC, but what, in your mind, changes the most at Texas with SEC membership?
Well, the thing that changes the most, and I'm going to start with football, is they should start that many weeks off.
Yeah.
And it's not like Texas was racking up Big 12 championships when they were here.
Yeah.
So it's going to get ratcheted up. They're not going to be able to sleepwalk into any game. And so, losing to Kansas, I guess losing to Vanderbilt would be the equivalent. I don't know. There aren't that many. There just aren't that many bad teams. So I think for football, that's going to be priority one. Sarkisian said it. That consistency, got to keep that consistency, knowing week in and week out that you're up against a team that can work you if you don't show up. The road trips are going to be different. I like the fact that that there's not going to be a whole lot of. I mean, the Iowa State trip. I won't miss the K-State trip, Jen.
Oh,
I hope you never have to make
it.
I don't like driving from Kansas City to the Little Apple and back. I don't like it. I never liked it.
I don't know if you've looked, Sed, but it's not exactly easy to get to places like Starkville and Auburn, and it's not exactly easy road tripping into some of these SEC places either.
The good thing, Jen, is you can go 3 years without playing one of those teams.
Okay. Yeah.
Big 12. We went to Little Apple every other year. We went to Ames every other year. Here, I might not get to go to start Vegas till like 2026. I don't know.
That's your Vegas trip, Cedric.
That's my Vegas trip, and as someone who has spent a little bit of time in Mississippi, one thing they may not have a lot of money in Mississippi. They actually do because they have a lot of casinos. but that money's not accessible. But there's plenty of casinos in Mississippi, and I've been rumored to go to one or two, Jen. I mean, I'm gonna plead the fifth on that, but I think I may have gone to one or two.
Just between
back
us.
back in the day.
Back in the day,
but before I got a real job.
That's right. Well, hey, this has been great, but tell people where they can find you. Social, online, all that fun stuff.
Just check me out at statesman.com, hookem.com. Either one works. Online on X. Don't look for a blue check mark because I can't afford it. At Cedric Golden, just like it sounds. And that's it. And if you want on the Facebook, there are a couple of free Facebook groups. There's a Bevo Beat at hookem.com, and then there's Hookem Press Box, and all my stuff's on there. So give me a read. You got to pay to play, though. We don't do this stuff for free.
I get that. Well, hey, it's always fun to talk to you about the Horns. Let's do this again once football gets going.
You got it. Anytime, Jen.
All right. Thanks, Ced. That's all the time we have for now, but please subscribe to my YouTube channel and my Substack. It's easy and it's free, but if you want to support my work financially, I'd really appreciate that. You can do that via my Substack, jennycarlson.substack.com. Also, you can find this episode and all episodes of The Jenny Carlson Show on your favorite podcast app. If you like what you hear, please leave a review. Quick word of thanks to my video dream team, Jacqueline Musgrove and Michael Lane. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time.